They said he was the perfect man, handsome, responsible, and God-fearing. She believed them. She believed in him, until the night she found out she wasn't the only wife. In the heart of Enugu, a woman named Muna built her world around love, trust, and family. She prayed for a good man. She stayed loyal. She kept the home warm and the table full. But what happens when the man you love chooses another woman and brings her into your marriage without warning? This is not just a story about betrayal. It is the story of heartbreak, of resilience, of the fire a woman must walk through to find herself again. Not all wounds bleed. Some just change the way a woman breathes forever.
In the sleepy town of Abagana, mornings began with the clanging of water pots, the call of the Akara woman, and the rustle of mango leaves in the breeze. And in a small, cream-painted bungalow tucked behind a flowering hibiscus hedge, Muna's world felt warm, safe, and complete. Muna Nwachukwu was the kind of woman who lived quietly but fully. She didn't need attention or applause, just peace. Her life revolved around her home, her pupils at St. Agnes Primary School, and her little girl, Somto, whose laughter could melt the most troubled heart. Her husband, Ebuka, was a tall, soft-spoken man. Handsome in a calm way. He owned a printing press in town and was well known for his generosity. People often said he was the type of man every woman prayed for. Muna had said Amen to that prayer years ago. They had been married for 6 years, and though life had not been without its trials, she believed they had something rare. Love built on loyalty. Each morning, before the world fully stirred, Muna would wake up early to boil water for tea, iron Samto's school uniform, and pack Ebuka's lunch. It was a routine she had perfected not out of obligation, but out of love. "Don't forget to take your vitamins, Ebuka," she'd call out as he tied his shoelaces. He would nod, half smiling, scrolling through his phone as he slipped it into his pocket. "See you at dinner, my sunshine," she'd say, hugging him. "Always," he'd reply, kissing her forehead. That day was no different, at least not at first. At St. Agnes, Muna taught primary 4. Her classroom was always bright, filled with drawings and moral quotes. She believed education should be joyful. That day, her pupils were learning about the water cycle, and Muna, holding a bucket and sponge, demonstrated evaporation like a magician performing a trick. Her laughter echoed with the children's. She felt alive. During break, she joined her colleague Ngozi for kunu under the mango tree near the staff room. "Your Ebuka came to the market yesterday, oh," Ngozi said, biting into her meat pie. "He looks slimmer than usual. Is he dieting or what?" Muna chuckled. "I've been telling him to cut his beer belly. Maybe he finally listened." But then, Ngozi hesitated. He wasn't alone. "I saw him with a woman. Very fine girl, oh, light-skinned. They bought fish together." Muna's laugh faltered. "Maybe his cousin. He mentioned he'd meet a supplier from Lagos." Ngozi muttered, chewing slowly. Muna dismissed it. She had no reason to worry. Her marriage was strong, or so she believed. That evening, while waiting for Ebuka to come home, Muna braided Samto's hair on the veranda. The little girl wriggled under her touch. "Mummy, when will Daddy come and take us to the zoo?" "Soon, my love. Maybe this weekend." But Ebuka didn't come home for dinner. He called instead. "Work ran late, Muna. Don't wait up." She smiled. "All right, I'll keep your food warm." She hung up and went to the kitchen, humming softly as she poured ogbono soup into a flask. She didn't notice that she had stopped humming halfway. Something tugged at her, an uneasiness she couldn't name. Later that night, as she folded clothes in the bedroom, a notification pinged on Ebuka's iPad. He had forgotten to take it to work. She glanced at the screen. Can't wait to see you again. Last night was magical. Chi-Chi. She froze. Chi-Chi. She stared at the message for a long time before locking the device. Her heart was pounding, but her face remained calm. She tucked the iPad back under the pillow and quietly walked to the balcony. The night air was cool. A dog barked in the distance. From the street below, she could hear the sound of music from a nearby bar. The lyrics floated up to her. If love is a lie, then let me lie with you. She closed her eyes. She wanted to believe it was nothing, that it was work-related, that he was being polite, that she was overreacting. But deep down, a whisper rose in her spirit, a whisper she tried to silence. Something was wrong.
The days after Mona read that message on Ibuka's iPad passed like shadows, quiet, long, and filled with unease. Something had shifted, not just in her home, but in her spirit. It was like a cold wind had entered through a crack in the window, brushing against her skin, invisible but undeniable. She didn't confront him, not yet. Mona was not a dramatic woman. Her pain didn't scream. It watched. It waited. She tucked the iPad back and carried on as if nothing had happened. But in her chest, something was ticking. Ibuka didn't notice the change. Or maybe he did and pretended not to. He came home later than usual now, often blaming clients or last-minute orders. Sometimes, he didn't even bother to make excuses. One night, he returned past midnight. Mona had stayed up, her arms wrapped around herself, listening to the silence of the house. As he stumbled in, reeking of alcohol and perfume, she stood in the hallway. You didn't call, she said softly. He blinked, surprised. You were awake? I always am. He sighed, waved her off. Mona, I beg, it was just boys' night out. I'm tired. She watched him walk past her like a ghost. That was the moment she knew he was slipping away from her, and there was someone else waiting to catch him. At school, Mona tried to stay present. Her pupils were her escape. Somto, her daughter, gave her reason to smile. But even her smiles became fragile. She found herself drifting during class, sometimes reading the same line of a textbook over and over. Ngozi noticed. Mona, she said one afternoon, during lunch under the mango tree, you're not okay. What is it? Mona gave a short laugh. You know what they say, when a woman begins to pray harder, she's either broke or broken. Ngozi reached for her hand. Which one are you? Mona didn't answer. Her silence was enough. That evening, while folding laundry, Mona noticed something odd. One of Ibuka's shirts, his favorite white native, was stained with lipstick. A soft coral pink. Not hers. She stared at it for minutes, then dropped it, her hands trembling. Later that week, he left his phone on the dining table as he took a call outside. She knew she shouldn't, but pain makes good women curious. She opened his WhatsApp. There she was again. Shishi. Baby, I miss you. Did you think of me last night? You left your chain in my room, don't forget it again, naughty. Mona placed the phone down like it was fire. Her hands shook. She took deep breaths, trying not to cry in front of her daughter, who was drawing crayons nearby. That night, when Ibuka came back, she had already served his dinner. She watched him eat. Watched the man she once believed was her soulmate chew rice like nothing was wrong in the world. Who is Shishi? She asked, her voice calm but piercing. He froze mid-bite. A second too long. A client, he said. Mona nodded. She sounds very close. For a client. Ibuka dropped his spoon. Mona, why are you going through my phone?
Why are you bringing another woman into our marriage? He stood. Don't start what you can't finish. I'm tired. She stood too. So am I. Their eyes met, and for the first time in their marriage, they truly saw each other. Not as lovers, but as strangers standing on a crumbling bridge. That night, Muna slept in Somto's room. A few days later, while shopping in the local market, a woman she barely knew tapped her shoulder. "Auntie Muna, sorry but I saw your husband at Moonlight Garden Hotel last week." Muna turned slowly. "You're sure?" The woman nodded. She. That's what he called her. Tall, light-skinned. Very fine. They looked like couple. Muna thanked her and walked away. As she carried her basket, something inside her heart cracked, not loudly, but deeply. This wasn't just infidelity. This was betrayal. And betrayal changes a woman.
Muna was sweeping the living room on a quiet Saturday morning when she found it, a card tucked between the couch cushions, slightly bent at the corners. Her fingers reached for it absent-mindedly. Maybe it was Somto's coloring sheet, she thought. But as she turned it over, her world shifted in slow motion. It wasn't a coloring sheet. It was a wedding invitation. Gold letters, glossy paper, the unmistakable weight of a celebration. Her hands froze. "You are cordially invited to the traditional marriage of Mr. Ibuka Noji and Miss Chidinma Okeke. Venue, Umoji Village Square. Date, Saturday, 22 ND. She didn't need to read the rest. The words danced before her, mocking her. Her husband's name was there in full, printed in proud, flowing script. Her stomach turned. Her legs grew weak. She dropped the broom and sat slowly on the edge of the couch, still clutching the card like it might turn to dust if she squeezed hard enough. Her mind began to race. No. It must be a mistake. Maybe it's another Ibuka. Maybe it's a joke. Or a scam. But she knew it wasn't. Deep inside, she knew. She had heard whispers in the market. She had seen messages. Now this was confirmation, not suspicion, not doubt. Proof. The man she had shared a bed with just last night, the man who had kissed her forehead before rushing off to work, was marrying another woman. And he hadn't told her. When Ibuka came home that afternoon, the air in the living room was thick, unmoving, charged like a storm waiting to break. He opened the door humming a tune, carrying a takeaway bag. "Surprise lunch," he said, lifting the bag with a grin. "Suya and fried rice from Sales. Your favorite." Muna stood in the center of the room holding the invitation. Ibuka's smile froze. She lifted it gently. "Did you forget this on the couch, or did God want me to find it?" His eyes darted from the card to her face, then back to the card. Silence stretched between them. "I was going to tell you," he began. "When?" she asked, her voice cold. "After the wine is poured. After the bride price is paid." Ibuka looked away. "My mother, she's been pushing. You know how tradition is. She said I needed a second wife. Someone from our village." Muna's chest rose and fell with quiet fury. "So I'm not from your village. Is that the problem?" He swallowed. "Muna, you have to understand." She stepped forward, eyes blazing. "No, you have to understand. You are already married. To me. You stood before God and promised. We built this life together. We have a daughter." Ibuka's voice cracked. "I didn't mean to hurt you. Chidinma, she's pregnant." Muna's hand went to her mouth as if to keep herself from screaming. But no sound came. Just the rising ache in her throat. So that was it. A pregnancy. A solution wrapped in cultural excuses and betrayal. "I gave up everything for you," she whispered. "I gave you my youth. My body. My dreams." He looked at the floor. Muna laughed bitterly. "Do you know what hurts the most? You didn't even have the decency to tell me. You left me to find out, like this." She dropped the card on the floor between them. It landed with a soft thud, like the fall of something sacred. Ibuka tried to reach for her hand. Please. Don't let this destroy us. You're still my wife? Mona stepped back. No, she said. I was. You made sure of that. She walked past him, her feet shaking beneath her, and went into the bedroom. The door closed softly behind her, but it might as well have been a slam. On the floor, the wedding invitation lay open, gleaming in the sunlight, smug in its celebration. That night, Mona sat on the edge of her bed for hours. Somto slept beside her, unaware. Outside, crickets chirped. A dog barked in the distance. But inside her heart, silence reigned. She picked up her journal and wrote in shaky handwriting. When a man chooses another woman while holding your hand, it's not just betrayal. It's cruelty. Tears dropped onto the page. She didn't wipe them. Because tonight, she didn't need to be strong. Tonight, she was allowed to break. The days that followed felt like living inside a shattered mirror. Everything Mona looked at reminded her of what once was, but nothing looked the same. She stayed in the house, going through the motions like a ghost with skin. She fed Somto, packed her school bag, even taught at St. Agnes, but her soul was absent. Her smile became a carefully constructed performance, reserved only for her daughter and her pupils. But inside, she was bleeding from places even she couldn't reach. Ibuka tried to return to a normal, but his normal didn't fit anymore. Not after what had been said. Not after what had been discovered. Mona no longer served his meals with a smile. She didn't sit to watch the evening news with him. She barely looked at him. And it was killing him. One night, he came back from a late meeting and found her in the kitchen, cutting okra with a slow, deliberate rhythm. She didn't look up when he walked in. He stood by the door awkwardly, watching her back. Mona. Can we talk? She didn't respond. Just kept slicing. Mona, please. She turned slowly, knife still in hand, eyes unreadable. What do you want to say, Ibuka? That you're sorry. That it wasn't supposed to happen. He shifted uncomfortably. I want to make things right. She blinked. You can't. He frowned. We've built a life together. You threw it away, she cut in sharply. The moment you allowed another woman to carry what was mine. Her voice wasn't raised. But it cut deeper than a scream. Ibuka stepped forward. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. She laughed bitterly. You didn't mean to. You planned a wedding, Ibuka. You let your mother collect bride price behind my back. You bought lace for another woman. Her voice cracked, you watched me pray for us while you built a future with her. He looked away. What hurts, she continued softly, is not that you cheated. It's that you did it so casually, like I was disposable. Like I was just the warm-up before your real life started. Ibuka reached out, but she stepped back. Don't, she whispered. Don't touch me. He sighed. She was never supposed to replace you. But she did. Mona's voice shook now. You made her a wife? You made me, what? A placeholder. No, he said quickly. You're my wife? My first wife. She raised a hand. Don't insult me with labels. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Then she said, you know, I used to think love was enough. That if I cooked well, prayed hard, stayed faithful, that you'd never betray me. A tear rolled down her cheek. But I've learned something. Love doesn't protect you from betrayal. Silence doesn't guarantee peace. And loyalty doesn't always buy loyalty. Ibuka sat at the edge of the dining chair, head in his hands. I don't know what to do anymore, he said quietly. Then figure it out. Without me. She turned and walked out of the kitchen, leaving him in silence. That night, Mona sat by Somto's bedside, brushing the child's hair with slow strokes. Somto turned sleepily and said, Mommy, you look sad. Mona paused, then smiled gently. Sometimes mommies get tired. Did daddy make you tired? Mona inhaled deeply. A little. The little girl reached for her mother's hand. I love you, mommy. I love you more, Mona whispered, kissing her forehead. After Somto fell asleep, Mona returned to her room and opened her wardrobe. She began pulling down clothes, folding them carefully into a small traveling bag. Not everything. Just enough. She had made a decision. The next morning, she handed Ibuka a folded note. I'm taking Somto. Just for a while. I need space. Real space. He looked panicked. You're leaving? I'm breathing, she replied. For the first time in weeks. And with that, she walked out of the house that had once been her heaven, now poisoned with silence and betrayal.